Hey guys, welcome to Super Important Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the Neca 12-inch head-to-tail Burning Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Destroyah. If you guys haven't seen the film Godzilla vs. Destroyah, in my previous review that I did for the Sh MonsterArts Destroyah, I kind of did a brief synopsis of the film in that review, so if you guys really want to know about that, just go check it out for yourself. But I actually been pretty excited to get this figure because I actually don't own the original Burning Godzilla by Sh MonsterArts, so I've been wanting something to kind of represent him in my display case. So I thought this would actually be a pretty decent option so that even if I don't manage to pick up that figure eventually, at least Destroyah will have somebody to duke it out with in the display case. So hopefully he stands up with the quality that is all the other monsters that have been coming out recently, because I imagine he's pretty much the exact same as the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, but I'll know more once he gets out of the packaging. So for the packaging, pretty much the same we got with all the other Godzillas, with the 1954 in the background, Godzilla vs. Destroyah on the bottom here. On the bottom packaging, Godzilla. For the sides, absolutely nothing. For the back of the packaging, you actually get a pretty awesome looking picture of the figure inside the packaging. More Godzilla and some legal mumbo jumbo at the bottom. So let's get him opened up out of his plastic prison. Now that I have the Neca Burning Godzilla out of his prison, I have him next to the Neca Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, just to show you guys that there is literally no discernible difference between the two in overall design or articulation. If you bought this Godzilla, literally the exact same Godzilla right here, other than a few small minor details that I've noticed between these two guys. And for his entire gimmick, which is the main reason why you'd be picking up this figure to begin with, is his translucent plastic, which, yes, it is actually translucent, which I think is actually really sweet, which is to help replicate his meltdown look that he has in Godzilla vs. Destroyah, which looks really nice on this Godzilla mold, which I'm actually glad that they ended up reusing that mold anyways, because from the difference between the Burning Godzilla and the Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, there isn't a whole lot of discernible difference, at least to me. So it really works for me that they ended up using the same mold for it, because I overall like this mold to begin with. It's just a little bit thin, but nothing really to complain about. And it's pretty much the same with him, but that's really the overall major difference between the two. I'll take it in overall design. So since I already did a pretty in-depth review of this guy, which is my most popular video on this channel, so if you guys want to check that out, I'm pretty much going to be glancing over him in terms of just going over the details, except for any of the major discernible differences. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about this Godzilla mold, I'll have a link in the description so you guys can go check that out. So I'll bring in Burning Godzilla for a closer look and getting you out of here. For the head sculpt, looks really nice. Really like the details that's got going on here with the overall wrinkle effect skin texture. Really love the blood red eyes. There's something that's very different between him and the original mold. Looks really cool. It has this nice red effect in there with some golds and blacks for the pupils. Looks pretty cool. And then for his teeth, overall you'll see that there could have been probably a little bit more paint there, but it's nothing too bad. And then opening up his mouth, you can see he has a lot of nice details inside of there. Also has a second row of teeth in there on the lower and upper part of his jaw. And even some really nice detail underneath the jaw here, so that's pretty cool. Another thing I want to point out for the mouth here is actually, I know originally on my Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla one, is that his mouth actually stuck out a little bit farther than the lower lip here. But on this one, it actually lines up really nice. It actually closes pretty tightly too. So that's really sweet, and really like the little bit of improvement that was seen on this one. Because I don't know if it was maybe just something I had to do with my Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, so if you guys want to chime in the comments below anybody that has that figure, I would really like to know about. But this one actually seems to line up really nice, so I really like that improvement on this head sculpt. And then for the major effect here, which is his burning look, really love how the translucent plastic just kind of flows throughout this Godzilla, where he has a little bit here on the neck here. And you see that his spines too are actually doing the orange here as well, which is really sweet. Even on the little part here, which is the first little hiccup that I noticed on this figure, because in the film and even on the Sh MonsterArts version, these dorsal plates right here, the really tiny ones, actually are supposed to be the normal color, which is this more bone white color that you see on the rest of the dorsal fins back here going along the tail. But it doesn't really bother me that much because I really like the translucent plastic here anyways. But it's just something to point out to you guys that's a little bit different than it probably should be, but it's pretty cool still. Overall, really love the dorsal plates here. Have this really nice, like, fiery orange color scheme to them, and they look really nice. And then for the rest of the body here, it also has this really nice fiery orange going on here. Maybe would have liked to have seen a little more color scheme going on in here, just to maybe spice up the variety a little bit. but it still looks really cool, and this looks like a Burning Godzilla, so they did a good job at translating that. And you can even see here on the arms here, looks really sweet. Comes down to about his elbow, and the rest of the arm is pretty normal looking. Same with over here on the other side of his arm. And then for his abdomen, pretty much a lot of orange here, and then some of those spikes here. Looks like he's wearing some underpaints, but moving on. Has a little bit more back here on the more rear section of Godzilla. Same with this leg, which is probably the worst looking effect part on here, because it's just some little swooshes kind of coming up, so it kind of looks like the fire is like trickling upwards on his body. But underneath the leg doesn't look quite as bad, and this leg actually looks really nice, and overall it's pretty sporadic in how it's set up, so that looks pretty good. And then for the lower part of the legs, same as the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. You notice here, if you guys didn't watch that review, his legs are actually a little bit thinner than I would have liked them to be, because overall the Heisty Godzilla actually had a pretty chubby lower section, which he's actually a pretty slim looking kaiju overall, so it's something that's a little bit different than the film, but I don't hate on this figure. Like, I still think it looks cool and makes him look a little bit leaner and meaner, if you know what I mean, because I don't even know what I mean, but moving on. And then for the tail, overall pretty much the same as we got with the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla 2. Has this little bendy tail at the end, which you actually have to attach on, which it's pretty simple. Pops off pretty easy. Pops back on real easy. So that's cool. Because I really love it when I don't actually have to fight to get this thing on, because bringing out the hairdryer as little as possible is always a plus. And overall, with just the burning effect, I think they did a really good job. Okay, maybe I would like to see a little bit more colors, but it still looks really nice on this guy. Godzilla's overall details on him are still really good as well, with a lot of the same scaling that we saw on the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. Same with the more circle pattern on the chest here, lower part of the abdomen. And that's pretty much it in terms of noticeable details. And then moving on to the articulation, his head is actually really stiff on mine, which is something that's nice, because my Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla one actually tends to pop off a little bit, while this one is on there really nice, so I really love that. But he doesn't really look up all that much. Same with down. It's pretty stiff in there. Probably got to try to loosen the joint in. But for right now, it just pretty much moves up and down about yay far. His head can move left and right, but it's really stiff. His mouth can go up and down. His upper neck can also rotate left and right. Also has a little bit of a wiggle to it. For his shoulders, can move up about yay far, down about yay far. Rotate all the way around. Has a rotation here. Also moves a little bit in a little side-to-side formation. Has a bend at the elbow. Also has a rotation right down here. For the hands, can also rotate. Has a nice bend at the hand, which is actually really sweet, so it kind of looks like he's gonna go clench something or about ready to smack a foo. For his waist, can pretty much rotate all the way around, which is always a plus. Has a nice little wiggle to it. Really good crunch. Then for his legs, he can do the awesome Godzilla splits. Can move a little bit in and out. These legs are actually a little bit looser than I would like to see, but they still actually hold their pose pretty well, so it's nothing too bad. But they can rotate all the way around. Then at the knee, has a really nice bend to it. Also has a rotation here. Has a little bit of a bend at the feet. Nice little pivot. Also rotates all the way around. And then for the tail, it has 3 segments here with one here, here, and here. So you get a lot of range of motion with that. Can also rotate all the way around in each section. Really nice. And for the rest of the tail, it's just this bendy tail with the wire on the inside. So pretty much bends however you want it. So again, it's pretty much the same articulation details what we got with the 1993 Godzilla. But that's not really saying anything bad, because that was a pretty nice figure, and this translates into being a pretty nice figure as well. But what actually puts this figure a little bit over the top of me over that one is this translucent plastic, which I personally love and can't get enough of it. Especially when the lighting starts hitting this figure, it just really helps to make that orange pop and really help to replicate that burning effect. But another way that you can do to actually help replicate this burning effect, which I will get back to you guys in just 1 second. So one thing I want to demonstrate for you guys, and I think it's actually a pretty sweet concept for this figure with its translucent plastic, you can actually set up a light system, and it's actually pretty simple to do if you guys are any decent with doing wiring. Initially I did this setup so that when Gamera shows up, I could put rig it inside of him, so for his little mana ball inside of his tummy, I could have it light up so it helps to show that off a lot better and kind of represent his mana beam. But since he's not here yet, I figured it'd be cool to show it off in Burning Godzilla. Which what I got set up here is actually pretty simple because all you need some wires, a battery source, and a light, which what I have here is a 9-volt battery, a little switch, which you don't actually need the switch, but if you want to turn it on and off without actually having to detach the battery, it's a good idea. And I got a 6-volt light inside of him, and what you could do is when I turn this on, which I'm going to actually turn off a bunch of my lights for a second. So now that the majority of the lights are turned off, when I turn on this switch, oh, his chest lights up, which I think is actually a really sweet concept for this guy, and I'll zoom in real quick just so you guys can see this a little better. I really love the concept of this, because with the lighting here, like, he looks beastly. Like, even coming around to the side here, you see how nicely it glows, and he even kind of goes into the spikes on the back here a little bit, which I think is awesome, which what I kind of want to do for a little custom for this guy is to set up a few more lights inside of him with the one I have set up in the back here, and that's so far been the best demonstrating of the glow because he actually has an open cavity on the inside of here to actually fit the light inside. And then I wouldn't mind getting probably a smaller light because for this, I'm hoping I could kind of recreate that with a 1-volt light so I can set up a few more lights on the side of him. So I want to put one right here in the lower part of his abdomen and 2 in his legs to really get this nice glowing effect overall. Which I think is really sweet, especially for people that really love to do customs, because this guy coming at 18 bucks, I think it's really reasonable to be picking up this guy and just pretty much going to town with whatever you want to do with this. And overall, I just love the way that when you set up the lights, it just flows through all the translucent plastic here. It really just to help make this figure even better than it already was. So for some quick comparison, here he is with the Sh MonsterArts Heisty Godzilla and Exploding Godzilla, which you'll see he's slightly taller than the other two, but it's nothing to really be concerned about. And here he is next to the Sh MonsterArts Destroyah, which they look pretty nice next to each other. He's slightly taller than he's supposed to be, but it's so minute that it doesn't really bother me at all. And here he is with the Sh MonsterArts Destroyah Evolution set. And here he is with the Sh MonsterArts Godzilla Jr. And here he is with the Neca Godzilla 2014 and the Godzilla 1984/5. And here he is next to the Bandai's Creation Burning Godzilla and a little chibi. So overall with the Neca Burning Godzilla, I actually think he's a pretty sweet action figure, and even though he's just a retool of the 1993 Godzilla, I actually think he's a better version of that Godzilla. And with the translucent plastic, I think it could have used a little bit more color variation and a little more subtlety in terms of just the amount that's on it. But I still really think that it really helps to accentuate the character and really help to replicate that burning effect that he had. And another thing I just love about this figure is just how easy it is to make this guy into a custom with some easy lighting effects added to him. Really helps to accentuate the character and make him even better than he already was. So surprisingly, I actually recommend picking up this figure. I didn't think I was going to like this guy initially as much as I did, especially seeing him from the pictures. But I think this guy turned out really awesome. And if you guys are missing the Sh MonsterArts Burning Godzilla in your collection, or just don't really want to pay his hefty price tag that he's carrying right now, then this guy would make an awesome replacement in your collection. So what do you guys think? Have you guys picked up NECA's Burning Godzilla? You guys excited about the 1954 Godzilla, or did the Japanese just do it better? Please let us know in the comments. We'll closer pictures on Facebook. If you want to click the link description below, please don't be afraid to share this video around. And if you like this and want to see more stuff like this, please give us a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.